What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, Aqua Life, baby. So I did wanted to do my Dragonic Blade Master deck first, but I thought about let me get my Thing Saver Stride update deck profile out of the way for you guys, and before we start bringing in the new stuff, because I'm gonna start doing the new stuff literally right after this video, probably Monday morning you're gonna see that. But I've also started recording, my records and everything throughout the tournaments I've been through with my decks. Keep a nice checkbook like record for them. And so for Thing Saver, I've been able to play it in the past 3 tournaments. And so my first tournament, I made top. I went 3-1 during Swiss. Won my top 8 matchup and then lost in top 4 to Nuba Thomas. So I went 4-2 overall. Week 2 with it, I went 7-0 undefeated for first place, and then last Monday, last Monday, I went 5-2, and then I lost in the finals, in top 2, to your boy O2. So in total, my deck is 16-4. So that's a pretty good record. I make the playoffs with that type of record. So let me actually get into the regular deck profile. All right, guys. So we're still running File as our starter. I like File as a starter. I'm able to toolbox Blaster Blade. Blaster Blade, I don't think he's better than Blaster Dark Revenger, but I will say that, or Blaster Dark Revenger Abyss, but I will say that Blaster Blade does make your opponent pay for rushing you early with grade 2s and 3s and whatnot. So just definitely being able to toolbox him and get a free pop is really nice. Plus, he goes into the soul for Thing Saver. The next card we run is pretty much just 8 crits. It's a standard lineup, 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. But I do want to talk about the draw triggers a bit. I'm definitely running 4 copies of Margle. Now, the reason for me talking about the draw triggers right now is because my boy Black Steve gave me an idea of, like, in the early game when you're on grade 1 or grade 2 or whatever, throw Margle into your soul, give something plus 3k so you can make it actually hit a pretty decent number, and it's emergency soul for Thing Saver, because in this, at least in my meta, literally there are like 5 or 6 Gear Chronicle players at my locals, and if they're able to stride first and do their shenanigans and stuff like that, and Kagero too, File's definitely not guaranteed to stay on the field, and you definitely need that soul, especially if you ride Thing Saver first. It's very important to get that File into the soul so you can at least do 1 restand. So I usually just throw the Margles into the soul early game so that I have that emergency soul just in case File does have to leave the field because of my opponent. So he's been an MVP for me, and I started doing that, and I've actually found myself with a lot more soul and better plays. Of course, if you draw him. And then 4 heal triggers. Alright, on to grade 1. Alright, guys, for the new grade 1 lineup, we run 2 copies of Grangol. Yeah, Grangol Seeker. I still like him. Being placed behind the Vanguard, being able to unflip that damage. It's just a really good card in general, and it should be behind your Vanguard at all times, unless you do have to call him out behind something on the rear guard to make some columns. For Leanne, she saves the day. I'm not running less of her. She just being able to filter, get to my grade 2s and 3s, setting up my drop zone for when I need the Legion. It's an amazing card. And then 4 of the new guy. What's his name? Laurel Knight Silicus. Yeah, he's pretty much the Stride card. Drop it. He counts as a grade 3 for Stride. I started using him because I just found that being able to stride into Godblade is really good, because Godblade can toolbox your grade 2s. And Thin Stride is a thing I want to make sure that I'm able to keep up with that sort of thing. Plus, he's a decent 7k booster, so I'm still working on plays with him. Sometimes I'm kind of scared to guard with him, but that comes with more experience playing with this deck. But I really like him, and he's been doing wonders, especially last tournament. And then for Holy Guardian, now I am going to make a video on Perfect Guards, but in this deck in particular, I really like her because she unflips damage. And unflipping damage in Royal Paladins in general can be very dangerous for your opponent, especially if you're trying to get Thing Saver off. It's like, okay, well, I used up my Counter Blast for Blaster Blade. I Perfect Guarded. I have one in the drop zone. Unflip that thing. Now Thing Saver is live again. So it's just, she's more or less, she's just really there just to make things save her live, getting unflip damage so I can continue to use Blaster Blade and things like that. It's just so many utility plays. Now sometimes I do feel like taking her out of my deck sometimes because again, we do have the Cross out right now, and though he's not too big at our local, this is pretty much Gear Chronicles. Against a good X player, they will probably swing at your rear guard just to get that restand, just to get their free plus. And the last time I played the crossplay against your boy Juan Mango, he did attempt to do that, and because I had the old school perfect guards, I was able to stop him from getting that extra plus he wanted from his dote attack. So I think it's personal preference amongst the perfect guards, but we'll get into that in another video. All right, let's go into grade 2. All right, so for grade 2, we're still running the 4 copies of Blaster Blade Seeker. He's the Legion mate for everything in this deck. He makes your opponent pay for rushing you with grade 2s or above, and he's pretty good for just sniping out units, then making a nice 16k column and swinging on their Vanguard. So he's just overall a pretty solid card. Not a great card, but a very solid card. And again, it all depends on how you use your card. 4 12k attackers, still nothing to be said about him. Just a solid card overall. Makes some good columns. And actually, late in the game when you have him in front of like a Glengall or a 7k booster, you throw, you do that whole let's throw Marvel in the soul, give something plus 3k. Well, you give him plus 3k, and then he'll be swinging for like 21 plus, and that's a 15k block on an 11k Vanguard. That's pretty good. So definitely works in this deck really well. And then 3 of one of my favorite cards in the deck, Seeker, Proud Roar Lion. If on the Vanguard or Rearguard circle, if he hits, I get to unflip a damage and give something a Seeker on my field plus 2k. Now, why do I like him so much? Because he's my #1 ride target, and you can definitely use him in conjunction with Blaster Blade Seeker. You can go Blaster Blade, ride him, go Blaster Seeker, pop something, swing with a boost. If you hit something, unflip a damage. So that was pretty much a free retire. Give Blaster Blade Seeker plus 2k, so now he's 11. And depending on if you have a booster behind him or not, that can make the difference between a 10k block and a 15k block. So he's really good, especially late game, if you're able to set him up right, in terms of where your trigger placement and columns. You can actually force your opponent to block the other column and take his hit, so you can get your plus 2 and unflip. So it's just a really good card in general. All right, and on to grade 3. Oops, sorry, Blaster Blade, you're not in this. Grade 3s, we have 4 copies of Wingle. I took out Alfred because I felt as if Alfred, the deck was just, for me, it was a bit too slow. Alfred, again, in my meta, I play against a lot of Gear Chronicle players. You have your spotty Kagero players and whatnot. And so, being able to maintain a field is much easier with this card over Alfred. Alfred's a great card, don't get me wrong, the crit with the full field and everything, but, against Gear Chronicles, Kageros and whatnot, it's hard to maintain a full field at all times. And Alfred's skill is not only archetype specific or subtype specific, because I need Seekers, but it's also quite expensive as well. So I'd rather go Legion, get myself a free grade 2 or higher, and go in from there, rather than having a Legion and then counterblast 2 and then try to maintain a field. So I'm going over better ease and easy on the counterblast over more power, so to speak. And again, this is generally structured for my meta, not for the whole world, but it's structured generally for what I play against every day. And then 4 copies of Thing Saver, because Thing Saver is like, He's still good. He's still a really good card. Floating, pretty much a floating Royal Paladin. You can throw him in any Royal Paladin deck, and you got yourself a Thing Saver deck. But this card is really good. In the finals last Monday, I damage checked 3 of him in a row, which was pretty sad, but it can happen. So, but yeah, Restanding Vanguard, 22k unboosted, great card. All right, and the Stride deck. And the Stride deck might look a little bit incomplete, so excuse it a bit. But first 2 cards, we're going to call out the 2 Cray Elementals, Messiah and Atmos. I'm probably going to put another Atmos in the deck. It's only because I haven't been able to cop 2 more copies of Saint Blow, but Atmos is actually a really good card, and I definitely recommend everybody at least pick up a copy of him. Because the Counterblast 1 gain 10k for Stride is really good, and that's how it won me game 2 in the finals last week, was because, where did he go? Oh, there he went. I was able to Stride into him, Counterblast to make 36k, and it was just out of guarding range of my opponent. So it's not a bad card at all. It's actually really pretty good card. 4 Godblades, I go into him all the time. If he hits, you get to search your deck for a grade 2 or higher, call to the rearguard circle. It allows for multiple attacks in a turn. It allows you to set up some columns. So if you have a lone booster but no grade 2, he hits, get yourself a grade 2, now you have a column. It's a pretty good card. And then 2 copies of Saint Blow. Now, I will do a discussion video on Saint Blow. I like this card, but at the same time, I don't like this card. Now, the reason why I don't like this card is because, you know, some good players who are able to keep up their guarding and who are pretty good at guarding throughout the game will generally save a perfect guard or quintet for this guy. I've probably only won a game on him once. Not because I have 2 copies, but because my opponents would save their perfect guards for him, and every time I've used him, he's either gotten perfect guarded or no passed. Perfect guarded or no passed. And it's not like he offers any sort of guard manipulation or punish if I don't hit sort of skill. It's more or less I'm going to gain all this power and hit you with an extra crit. Sometimes my opponent will no guard at 3 damage, and I won't check a crit. And it'll be like, okay, well, I put him to 5, but, you know, it was kind of a meh sort of turn. So I think he's a good card, but I don't think he's a great card. I think he's more of one of those, more or less a balanced card that just gains a lot of power. But I'm definitely going to be looking for 2 more copies of him, because I do want to have 4. But that's been the Thing Saver Stride deck profile for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be coming at you guys with Dragonic Blade Master, and, you know, X gonna give it to him, you know, the cross. So we look forward to those decks. All right, this has been the Cardfight King, and I'm out. Peace.